Say hi, everybody. Say hello.
Hey, show.
All right, go. Yeah.
Why do you always say at the beginning of your videos? Are you starting?
Yeah, that's right. You're watching me.
I know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. This is the first video in our new house in Colorado, and my sister is right over there watching me, and it's making me nervous, and she's laughing. So yeah, this is the first time I've had to share a room in many years, since I was like 10 or 11. So I'm gonna have to learn how to do this. But yes, I'm so excited to finally begin filming and doing videos in this house. Obviously, I'm in a little book corner. I have this weird shelf pretty much all the way around my room, and so it's a great place for books. So I have books over there, and then you can't really see all of them right here, but I have classics and then some other books. But I can maybe do a full bookshelf tour, bedroom tour, whatever. But today's video is gonna be my November wrap-up. I read 8 books this month. Surprisingly, I'm actually surprised I got that much done. I think it was because I started off the month, like the first 4 days of November, with having already read 2 books, so that definitely helped a lot. I read a lot of ebooks, so I actually don't have many physical books with me. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first book that I read was A Rumored Fortune by Joanna Davidson Politano, I think is how you say her name. I absolutely love this book. I read Lady Jane Disappears by the same author earlier this year. I'm not sure what the month was, and I loved that one. And I read A Rumored Fortune this month and absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was like, it has you on the edge of your seat. The characters are some of my favorite characters. Like, I've read 2 of her books already, and her characters are just some of my favorites. So, highly recommend. So much has happened since I've read it. I'm like, I don't even know how to talk about these books. But basically, I don't even remember the main character's name. So we're just gonna say the main character, the girl, is wealthy and her father dies. And they have to figure out what happened to his fortune. And they have relatives coming, trying to find the fortune, other people coming and deceiving them, trying to get to this fortune. And it's very intense and very, like, you're on the edge of your seat. And so I highly recommend. Loved it. 5 stars. The next book I read is called Sold on a Monday by, I don't have the physical book with me. I should have looked. I'll put a picture of the book and then you can see the name, but I don't remember what his name was. Or whoever wrote the book. I gave it 3.5 stars. There were parts I liked, and then it was just kind of okay, like, It was very sad and hard to read at some point, some parts of the book. Like, basically a guy is a photographer, and he goes and he comes to a farm, and he says, or he sees a sign, I think, that says 2 kids for sale or something down that line, and he's just shocked. And there's these 2 little kids in the yard, and he snaps a picture and gets in the paper, and things go crazy. And then it ties into another family. Tragedy happens, and you're just trying to figure out how all this plays together. And it was okay. I enjoyed some of it, but it wasn't like a wow reading experience. So, and I thought I had the physical book with me, but apparently I left it in Georgia because I can't find it. So, I don't know. The next book I read, Stories That Bind Us by Susie Finkbeiner. And, you know, if you've watched any of my recent videos, that Susie Finkbeiner is a new favorite author. I am absolutely in love with her writing, with her characters, with her stories, and there's not that much plot. You're basically just following characters' lives for a period of time, And this one is about a woman, Betty Sweet. Her name is Betty Sweet, and she became a widow at 40 years old, and it shows her story of her husband passing and her dealing with grief, and her sister, who she has not spoken to in a long time, coming with her little son. And it's just a beautiful story of family and healing, and it's just emotions that just make you love a book. And I gave this 5 stars, and Susie Finkbeiner is an author I absolutely love and will basically buy all of her books. Okay, the next one is one that I'm like conflicted, but I have to do this right now. Becky Wade, if you know, you know. I read my first Becky Wade book. Becky Wade is very popular in the Christian fiction, Christian romance booktube world. And so I got this for my birthday, and I was super excited to read it. And I have so many thoughts. What did I rate it? 3.75. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty accurate rating. There were things that I absolutely loved about it, and the romance was cute, and it felt so much like a Hallmark movie. My take on Hallmark movies is they're so cheesy and so predictable, but like you can't help but watch them. And I'll literally be watching a Hallmark movie and be like, oh, this is gonna happen. It happens because it's Hallmark. And this felt like that at some points. I would say there's definitely more emotions and like hard topics in this book than a Hallmark book, but I was getting Hallmark vibes, and it wasn't always a bad thing. So basically, Kate Donovan comes to work with her grandma at a old house that they own, and they're gonna renovate it. And the contractor, Matt, how do I even explain this? Basically, Kate finds that she feels something about Matt that she needs to help him because he is a widower. He lost his wife when she was young. Like, they were very young to cancer. And he's grieving, and he's kind of a recluse and doesn't like people digging into his business, so he just kind of stays hidden. And he was a famous hockey player, so that complicates things for him. Anyways, my biggest problem with this book probably is all of the talk about how attractive Matt was. I'm telling you, every chapter talked about it, and every woman said something about it. And the old ladies, oh my goodness, the old ladies in this book, they were hilarious, but like they called him hottie. And I was just like, this is so weird. And that was my biggest complaint, and I just got tired of that because I'm like, okay, I know he's good looking at this point, so just can we move past that? But it was still enjoyable. And at the end, did I tear up? I feel like I probably did. Yeah. So I still like it. Just go in knowing that it's very, is cheesy the right word? I don't know if cheesy is the right word, but yeah. Hallmarky. So still enjoyed it. 3.75 stars. The next book I have to talk about is The Hawk and the Jewel by Lori Wick. And I think I've come to the conclusion that this is my favorite Lori Wick book that I've read so far. That was like my 3rd time reading it maybe, and I loved it more than I did the other times I read it. It's so good. It's about what's her name? Sunny, who she was on a shipwreck when she was little, and she was washed ashore with her mother to a different country. Her mother was dead, and the family in that country, the rulers, the king in that country, took her in to raise as his own daughter. And then it's her story of going back to her family and how that all happened, and then falling in love. And it's just my favorite. It's just the best romance ever, and all of the different characters and parts of the story that I would highly recommend. And the setting, I love the setting that this is in. It's in England. I don't even know the time period. Wow, Erica, you should try to do better with it. But loved it so much, would recommend to anybody. So, yes. And then the nonfiction of the month, I actually started this in October, and it took me a while to read, but you'll see why. It's On Our Knees by Phil Wickham, 40 Days to Living Boldly in Prayer. Now, I didn't do this in 40 consecutive days, or I don't even know how many days it actually took me. Some days I would read 2 sections, 2 days worth, and other days I wouldn't read at all. But basically, it is a day-by-day guide. Well, let me just show you. So it has the passage you're supposed to read, and then verses, and then turn the page, and it has basically what I liked is just the practical reminders and encouragements about your prayer time, and then it has a prayer for each day, and then prayer reflections that you can. I really enjoyed this part where you can answer these questions and really dive deeper into your own prayer life. And so I gave this 5 stars. It's kind of hard to rate a book like this, I feel like, because different days spoke to me more than others. But overall, I feel like it was well done, and love supporting Phil Wickham. The next book was Wings of the Morning by Lori Wick. I gave this 4 stars. It is the second book in the Kensington Chronicles. I forgot to mention that The Hawk and the Jewel is the first book in the Kensington Chronicles. So Wings of the Morning, this was so good, and I feel like I could have given it 5 stars, but The Hawk and the Jewel was like 5 stars, and so yeah, sometimes I just have a really hard time rating books, but I really enjoyed this. It's about I'm about to sneeze. It is about a woman named Smokey, or actually her real name is Victoria, but they call her Smokey, and she has basically been on the sea, like sailing, her entire life. Her father was a famous captain, and it's her story of kind of coming into like the real world civilization, because she's basically been on a ship most of her life. I mean, she's come to land, but she doesn't know society. She doesn't know how to go about society in a ladylike way. And it's her story of coming into that and meeting someone. Obviously, it's a romance book, and really enjoyed it. There's pirates involved, so that was interesting too. So yes, love that one too. The last book I read was A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson. Is that how you say her name? Frances Hodgson Burnett. I have another sister in here now. I love this edition so much. It's cloth, but it's hardcover, and it has illustrations, and it's just really beautiful. I read this for Chantel Reads All Day, her Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and it was for the November prompt, which was to read a book that makes you feel cozy or nostalgic. I think that was the prompt. And I read this one because I read this book several times at my grandma's house, and so I just remember reading it and loving it. And so I reread it, and I don't think I liked it as much as I did when I was little. Now, saying that, life was crazy when I was reading this. We were moving, and it was better for me to just read a fast-paced book, and that's not really what this is. But I still loved the story. Loved Sarah Crew. It's a classic, so I added it to my classics list. Which I guess I'd read it before, but still, it's like, yeah. So yeah, I give it 4 stars, and I'm glad to have this one done and on my shelf because it's so pretty. Okay, I'm also going to share my December TBR quickly, or as quickly as possible. I love my siblings. I usually actually don't make a TBR because First of all, my stack of unread books, my pile of unread books that I have isn't massive. And so I don't have just a ton to choose from. So I kind of just mood read, or sometimes I'll order a book and want to read that right away. But this month I decided to make a TBR. And I'm really excited because it's just fun to have a stack of books and know that you want to get all of those read in this month. So we're going to talk about that. The first one is actually a book for the December prompt of the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, and that prompt was to read a book with a mostly white cover. And so I chose Sound the Trumpet by Gilbert Morris. I have loved Gilbert Morris's writing, and my sister Morgan, loves Gilbert Morris's writing, and so she just realized what this book is and was like, wow. Got excited. But I've never actually heard of this. I live not far at all from Carmen now. If you don't know Carmen, definitely go follow her channel. Subscribe to her channel. She has amazing videos as well, and we'll probably do some collabs, and I don't know, it's gonna be fun. But I borrowed this from her yesterday. It's not all white, obviously, but it is, I would say this is a white book. I don't even know what this is about. I've maybe read a few sentences of the synopsis, but I don't really care. Gilbert Morris, I'm here. First book in the Liberty Bell series, I think that's what it's called. So I'm really excited about this. And then I'm gonna pick up, hopefully, The Women of Chateau Lafayette. I think that's how you say it. I got this for like a discounted price at Books A Million, and oh, did it bend? That's sad. I love this cover, and it's kind of thick, and it's floppy, and I don't even remember exactly what it's about. I'm not going to go into details, but I hope to read this one. Looks like a fun historical fiction, and I'll let you know what I think. For my I have two nonfictions picked out this month. One is My Jesus by Ann Wilson. If you don't know who Ann Wilson is, she wrote the song My Jesus, and yeah, so she's kind of become a popular Christian artist in the last few years, and I'm excited to read her book, From Heartache to Hope, and yeah, can't wait to review this one. And then a book that is very popular in the Christian booktube community, Love and a Little White Lie by Tammy O'Gray. Also got this for my birthday, and I'm excited to read it. And I absolutely love this cover. Like, the colors just make me happy, and it's the first book in a series. So if I like this one, I'll read the rest, and that'll be fun. The next book I also got from Carmen yesterday. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, since Carmen told me about it. That is The Frontiersman's Daughter by Laura France. I really don't remember what it's about, but Carmen says it's good, and I trust her opinion, so we're gonna get this one done hopefully as well. And then my one Christmas book that I want to read this month is Catching Christmas by Terry Blackstock. You good? This is actually my first library book. I don't think I've ever had a library card, and yesterday, which was our first full day here, me and Carmen went and got me a library card. So, Catching Christmas by Terry Blackstock. I really enjoy Terry Blackstock's books. I think this is going to be very different. I'm excited to read my first Christmas book. I think it's my first one. And then the last book I have on my TBR is one I've had for a while. I think I heard Gloria Z. Thompson talk about this, maybe? If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But it was described as similar to Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Is that his name? And I love that book. So, The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. A powerful, revealing story of hope, love, justice, and the gift of reading by a man who spent 30 years on death row for a crime he didn't commit. So I'm really excited about this, and I love the cover, and it's a yellow hardback, which I don't think I have one of those, and so, always love to add fun new covers to the collection. So that is my November wrap up and my December TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. Many more videos to come in this spot, hopefully. And the sun is kind of shining in here weird, so excuse the lighting. But yeah, let me know what videos you want to see next, if you have any book recommendations or anything like that. And thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, guys.